Good morning, everybody. This is Real Estate Matters for over 11 years, the voice of real estate in Flagler County, Palm Coast, Florida. Welcome to what I like to call the quiet side of Florida. I'm Toby Tobin. I'm the publisher of GoToby.com, and I'm a Florida licensed realtor with Grand Living Realty. Co-host Anne Maria Long from the Flagler Home Builders Association, which also sponsors our show, is in the studio with me today. And we have my frequent flyer mile guest, Jay Gardner, has been guest on this show more than almost everybody else combined.
Wait a minute. I thought I was more than everybody, Toby. What's going on here?
Well, I'm not. 11 years of statistics are. It's hard to remember that far back.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you too. The reason Jay's here is because, and we'll go through some current statistics for a little bit first, but we're going to talk about homestead exemption and the Save Our Homes and all that, because March 1st is coming up soon, and March 1st is the deadline for making your application for all of those exemptions.
Yes, it is.
And they're confusing. They can be very confusing. It took me literally years before I really felt comfortable talking about all of those topics in one conversation, because it's confusing. And remember, all those laws were basically written with attorneys in mind.
But Jay makes it so easy, and his staff, if you go in his office, I'll walk you through it.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, he does. He told me a long time ago, I still remember, he says that you're going to leave here either happy because you understand that he was right, but I understand why, or I'll go happy because I was right and he fixed it.
Yeah.
Those are the two outcomes when you go visit Jay. So anyway, we want to thank our sponsors, Veranda Bay, which is a private developing community of lots and luxury homes on John Anderson Boulevard with a Flagler Beach address. Homes there by Olson Homes, AR Homes by Arthur Ruttenberg, ICI Homes, Holbert Homes, Toll Brothers, and Dream Finder. So those are all high-quality builders, well-known, some of them national, and they're all members of the Home Builders Association.
They all are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Hammock Community Church, also I want to chime in for them. That's where you find me every Sunday morning at the 11 o'clock service. It's on Route A1A in the Hammock, a mile and a half north of the toll bridge. Their phrase is small enough to know you, large enough to serve you. And I live this side of the toll bridge, and I go over the bridge every Sunday, so you can too. And it's a unique church. It's very traditional. They sing the old-fashioned hymns that I remember from a long time ago. And they actually have a chorus or a choir rather than a band, which is in this day and age, kind of unique as well. So anyway, Jay, glad you're here. Give me a minute to go through some numbers.
There you go.
Then we'll get right to you. We're mid-month. We're recording this on the 23rd, so you'll hear it tomorrow. So the numbers are pretty current. January is one of the slower months of the year traditionally. January and February are actually traditionally the two slowest months when you measure closings.
Right.
Not the contracts were probably signed in November and December, but the closings January, February. So this January so far, single family homes, and these are MLS numbers, so only MLS. It doesn't include for sale by owners and the ones that aren't part of the MLS system. But it's Flagler County addresses, single family homes only. Month to date, 86 homes have been transferred through the MLS system with a median price of $379,500. And days on market is 59. Last January, 163 single-family homes were sold. That's, of course, for the entire month. We're talking about it, comparing to half a month now. The median price a year ago was $377,500. So we're pretty close, 379.5 up from 377.5. Of the homes sold, just as we've been saying for the last year plus, the activity, the strongest sales activity is at both ends of the market. And I measure that as homes that sell for $250,000 or less and homes that sell for $1 million or more. So far this month, 5 homes have sold for $250,000 or less. 3 of those 5 were sold for cash. Days on market for those 5 homes, 3 days.
Oh, you better get to those houses fast.
If you want to
Selling
a
like
home under
hotcakes.
$250,000, don't think about it too long.
just buy it.
And then over $1 million so far this month, 3 homes have sold. All 3 of them were cash. Days on market 59, which is less than the overall days on market. I'm sorry.
It's the same.
59. Yeah, it's the same. So normally the higher price homes are on the market a lot longer than the rest of the market, and that hasn't been true for over a year now. 1,177 homes are listed with MLS versus 1,292 a year ago, so that's down 8.9%, which belies all the conversation in social media about the glut of homes that are on the market. And then the other side of that coin, 314 homes are in the pending category, and that means they were on the market listed and now they are under contract, but they haven't closed yet. So the pending file, 314 homes. Last year there were only 273, so the pending side is up 15%. That's a good indication.
Yeah. So less houses listed and more under contract.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now let's get on to the main topic of the show. Jay always likes to make that him.
Well, main
I
character
hope I get
syndrome.
to say something with all these
Yeah.
stats,
Oh,
Anyway.
chime in anytime. But the reason Jay is here is because it's really important in Florida to understand homesteading. And it's important because for 2 reasons. One is it's financially advantageous to understand the system because we're talking about real dollars when we're talking about homesteading. And of course, you end up with a homestead exemption if it's your primary residence as of January 1st of that year. Lots of people, particularly those who come from up north, think that, well, it's got to be 6 months plus a day or something. And there are states that have rules like that. But real estate laws are particularly state specific. And that's even more true for Florida than it is with my experience from other states. Florida's regulations, laws are just different than
We are
everybody
special.
else. Yeah, we're special, but you have to understand them to be able to take advantage of them. And taking advantage of just the homestead exemption alone, aside from Save Our Homes and all of the other things, just depending on what taxing district you're in, it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but like $500 to $800 a year.
Yeah, that's a good range. Yeah.
And I mean, if you're in rural Flagler County, it's less. If you're in the city of Palm Coast, it's more. But
Yeah.
but it's in that
over
region.
1,000 in Bunnell.
That's not peanuts. So it's important, but you have to understand. And one of the other reasons is that our murder rate would probably be lower if everybody understood. You'd have fewer buyers finding the person that sold them the house and doing away with them because there was a misunderstanding about property tax.
Well,
So
that's up to you realtors to educate them, okay?
well, it is, and unfortunately,
And lenders.
I have to admit that there are a lot of realtors who don't do a good job of doing that education, and the education it's everybody's job to do it. It's your job if they come to talk to you at your office. It's my job if they talk to me about real estate in general. It's the realtor's job, but it's the closing agent's job as well,
And the lender
and the lender, and they're
and
not
the
any,
buyer themselves.
they're not, and the seller. They're not any better than the realtors when it comes to knowledge of the system and what really happens. So I thought, Jay, what's the percentage of residential units, condos, townhomes, duplexes, single-family homes in Flagler County that are homesteaded, roughly?
68%, roughly,
Roughly, okay, not
of just the residential.
okay.
Yes.
And that's probably the second highest percentage of counties in Florida. You got to look at where the Villages is. They've thank God for the Villages. Otherwise, we'd be at the bottom of a lot of lists.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, remember the Villages probably
Well, they're
encompasses
across-
like three
yeah,
counties or
they
something.
are. Yeah, they really.
So one county's not getting all of that bragging, right?
But the Villages does, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I heard the average age over in the Villages is something 65 plus. It's way above ours.
Then
Somebody
maybe I
told me-
should move there then.
Well, it's
There's a
different
lot of
over there.
lists
They
you
have,
don't want to be on in the Villages.
somebody jokingly told me the other day that there's a church in the Villages that has an all-you-can-eat communion. But
I don't even want to get any further into that. There's so many layers to unpack.
So, you said about the homestead, and it's own and occupy it on a January 1st. Okay? So
Yeah.
you could buy it but not move here, you won't get it. You could move into it but not buy it, you won't get it. But if you own and occupy it,
If you
and
move out
mentioned-
January 2nd, it
If you
still
move- yeah.
qualifies.
yeah, for the rest of the year. But, if you sell it, of course, the new buyer will advantage from that. But
Yeah, and I want to talk particularly the confusion people have is understanding the timing sequence and what that means to their tax bill that comes beginning of November each year for that tax year. So I thought we'd use an example. Thank you, Mark. We got to take a quick break. I don't want to get started on this topic and then stop midway for a break. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for staying with us. This is the second half of Real Estate Matters. Our lead sponsor, favorite sponsor, Veranda Bay, private community on John Anderson Boulevard with a Flagler Beach address, working towards actually being part of Flagler Beach at this time. So we'll probably do something, do another show on that when that happens. But we'd like to thank them for sponsoring us regularly. We have Jay Gardner, the property appraiser for Flagler County, as our guest today, and we're talking about homesteading and how complicated it is, particularly for people moving in from another state, because Florida's real estate laws and property tax laws are unique. So I thought we'd, Jay, use as an example. A couple of years ago, I lived in a condo that had been homesteaded for a while, so I had some protected value. We'll define that in a minute. But I sold my condo in May and bought a new home in May. So the conditions of the condos, as of January 1st that year, I lived there, so it was homesteaded. So it's homesteaded really for that whole year. Who would get the tax bill in November?
The tax bill is always going to go to the real estate, so the new owner would receive the bill. So if we're talking about the condo you sold, it's going to go to the people that bought it.
Okay, and it did.
And they're actually, think of it this way, they're paying your bill, Toby. It's based on you. So they would get the benefit of your protected value in your homestead, and they would pay that bill. And they think that's their tax bill. So then next year when they get the new bill without your protected value, without your exemptions, and they're still living up north or something, it's much higher. You know, it went from $1,000 to $4,000. Well, I'm their next phone call.
Yeah, I was going to say that's when they come see you.
And they say my taxes went up, and I said, actually they didn't. Last year you weren't paying your taxes, you were paying Toby's taxes. And so, you know, they've got to understand that. And then the following year will be whatever they did. I mean, they put their homestead on it and all that, and then they'll pay their bill.
But their just value, the floor level went up several $1,000s.
Yeah, the market is still the same on no matter who owns it, but then that assessed value, yours was lower. You had a bunch of protected value from living there a long time, and the value's changed. And of course, you had your exemptions as well, so a much lower taxable value. But that first year, that's going to go to whoever owns it by November, because the bill comes to the real estate, you got to pay it. But you did get a credit at closing 99.9% of the time. You can find a credit.
Yeah, there was like 3 months where they got a credit at closing for the time that I lived in the condo.
Yeah, sure.
For 3 months or 3.5 months. Okay, now let's go to the other side of the transaction where I was the buyer of a new home. And the new home, I paid less for it than I sold the condo for. So that's one thing we want to talk about. The other thing we want to talk about is the protected value and what was the status of my new home on January 1st of that year. Well, I closed on it and moved in May, but the certificate of occupancy hadn't been issued as of January 1st, so it was still on your books as a vacant lot.
Right.
So I got a tax bill in November because I own the property and the bill was on the property, which was as of January 1st a vacant lot. So I got a break that first year. I didn't get my homestead break on the condo because the new buyer did.
Yeah.
So I lost that break, but I caught another break when I ended up paying tax on a vacant lot.
But that's not, obviously that's specific to you. It could have been that there was no exemptions on it and the house was on and you paid a whole bunch more. The second year of your ownership, though, you're going to have your exemptions, your cap, everything added, then it would drop back down.
And my protected value.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the cap, I said. Yeah, that's what I call it.
So let's talk about protected value. Define, because a lot of people do not understand it. I've had this conversation with multiple times. They still don't understand protected value.
So a good year to talk about was in 2021, we had a huge increase in value. So from 21 to 22, the average property in Flagler County went up about 36% in 1 year. But a homesteader has a cap on his value increasing, a maximum of 3% or the CPI, whichever's less. So let's just assume 3%. So even though the value went up 36%, according to what I was saying is an average increase in the properties, but you could only go up 3. So let's just say there's 33% sitting in the bucket that you don't pay tax on. That's the protected value. And it builds up over time in a rising market and goes away during times of a decreasing market. But the bottom line is that money's sitting there, and when you move, you can take some or all of it with you to the next property. So a Florida guy gets to move his Florida benefit to the next house. Someone coming in from up north is not going to see that, and they're just going to notice how come they're paying more than the other guy.
And the way the protected value works, in as simple terms as I can get it, I think, the ratio between the just value of my condo and the lower priced home that I bought, it worked out the home was about 80% of the condo. So I got 80% of my protected value that came forward to the house. If the house had been cost more than or worth more, assessed more than the condo, I would have gotten my entire protected value ported over.
Yeah, so it's basically if you buy an equal or greater value house, you bring it all. If you buy a cheaper house, we're going to create a ratio with the home you sold. And if it's 25%, you're going to then come to your new house and put 25% on it, and that'll be your starting point. It'll reduce your market down to your assessed value by that protected value. It's save our homes. It keeps your bill relatively flat for the rest of the time you own the home. It's
Yeah,
it's a
that
very
was-
good thing.
It started in the early 1990s, and
Mm-hmm.
the reason it started is because Florida real estate has, over time, I mean, it goes up and down, but over time, the trend has always been
Mm-hmm.
very strongly upward. And it's an older demographic, lots of retired people on fixed incomes, and people were being literally forced out of their home
Yes.
because they couldn't pay
Yes.
their property taxes. So that's where that all started, and it's all well intended, but it has consequences, like all well intended things.
Creates an inequity in the system.
Mm-hmm.
The new people get picked on. The old people are happy.
Mm-hmm.
The longer term residents are happy.
But we have some people who don't understand the system that should be happy that still aren't.
Well, you can't make everyone happy.
Well, thanks to social media, you get to hear about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not if
for
you stay
sure.
off of it.
So, do you have any other comments?
Yeah. So, Jay, is it true that everyone who purchased a home and occupied it by December 31st of 2025 and is not yet homesteaded in that property needs to go to your office before March 1st?
Actually, if they were talking, you said 25, which means they missed a whole year. If January 1st, they were too late, but January 1st, not December, is the date I'm going to look at for 26. They had to live there on January 1st, not December. I think you said December 1st.
December of okay,
So we
if
care.
if they moved in January 1st, they
Yeah.
would still qualify.
Yeah.
of 2026.
Yes.
I see.
2026, yeah.
And they definitely, it's not automatic. No one's going
Yes.
to do it for you. If you think it's there, and I see them from time to time where people have missed 4 or 5 years, just never bothered to file,
Right.
didn't realize it.
And it's not retroactive.
Yeah, and that's
No,
what I was going to say.
no.
If you've never
Yeah.
homesteaded, if this is the first time you're hearing about this, or you're like, oh, that maybe that's why my tax
you
bill.
don't wait, you come see me.
Yeah, or if you've never gone to see your Jay or your office, you need to go because you probably don't have
Yeah.
a homestead.
And it's really important because, obviously we know in real estate the market will turn. Right now it's kind of flat, not really changing a ton. It's still up in areas where people are saying it's down, but if it starts going up again and you don't have your protected cap, your cap
Yeah.
that stops it, you just go up with the market and it hurts your
Right.
feelings.
Yeah.
And there's some additional exemptions with your homestead. So I know there's the 100% disabled veteran.
Mm-hmm.
There's a senior citizen,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The disabled.
Is there first responder?
Yeah, there's different exemptions for disability, regular disability, the veterans, total and permanent, quadriplegics. Just if you have a disability, anything, you're going to talk to us about it when you file, and we'll talk to you about it. It's very important.
Yeah,
The
you got
senior
it. Oh,
exemption.
widowed.
Yeah, the
right?
widower, the senior exemption. The easy part's getting to be 65.
Yeah.
The hard
Now,
part
it-
is an income cap.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you could be 65 and exceed the income cap, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's adjusted gross. And this past year, for reference, was not the one we're looking at this year, but the past year was $37,694 adjusted gross AGI, which may not count social, for example. Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But then next year, I figure it'll be maybe say a little over 38,000. We
Right.
haven't got the number yet. It will be coming soon. But if you have turned 65, happy birthday. But I'm not going to call you up. You need to call me up.
And that's what the next thing I was going to say. So if you've
Yeah.
turned 65, you need to go back in.
As of January
1st,
1st. Everything we do is
2026.
January 1st. But
January
it's important.
1st, 2026.
And this is a good time. Don't
Before it
come
gets
don't
crazy.
come on March 1 because it'll be a zoo in there. That's when everybody panics. Either come before it or a little after. We're still going to take your application. Just don't not come see me. And the worst case scenario is if you're real late coming to see me, you'll be filing for the next year. But if we can still figure out
Yeah.
a way to get you in for the year we're in, we will. We're here to help you if we can. But you've got to do that. The veterans, if their disability has changed, sometimes that matters.
Yeah,
There's
if
a
you've gone
percentage
from
one for
percentile.
combat related over 65. So if you go from 50% to 60%, we can change your exemption. Anybody that finally makes that 100% total and permanent, they definitely want to come see me, because then
Yeah.
you get a zero bill.
Right.
It's things that people just need to be aware of, and it's never automatic.
That's why I have you back so often.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, the old phrase, you can say that again. Well, you can say that again and again and again, and it still won't be enough for some people.
And people who need to see the list of what to bring or how to find you
Yep.
are going to go to flaglerpa.com.
Yeah, or bottom line is
Or just come in
all
or
your
call.
identifiers, your driver's license, your vehicle, your voting, are moved to your new address. If you got a house in New York, we're going to get a letter from them showing that they know you're not a resident. There can be no permanent-based residency benefits in another state.
You can't double dip.
No, your wife can't be in New York and you here. It's got to be one or the other. Florida has the marriage penalty, and it's, by gosh, if you're married, you get one break somewhere, and we're happy to make sure you get it here if you get rid of it there.
Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you very much for being here. We always have a good show when
Me
you're
too.
on. And people, I hope you listen, because this is really important. It will save you a lot of money. The $500 to $800 a year, that's just out of the chute with Homestead. As the Save Our Homes builds up, it can save you thousands of dollars a year.
Yes, and just for the listeners, we will be open a couple of days coming up in February. I know we'll be at that Palm Coast Connect thing, and we'll be doing homesteads there. So, if you can't come because of work, give us a call. We'll let you know the days we're doing it in February, or when that Palm Coast Connect thing happens, and we will be glad to do your exemptions, then, so you don't wind up missing work and stuff. So call us.
Fantastic.
Good. Thanks for being flexible, Jay, and thanks for being here. Thank you all for listening in today. Hope to see you next week. I'm Toby Tobin, and I approve this show.